Perfect. We will get started. Thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. We are excited to host this webinar with Max Adventure and Visit Portugal. And we're going to talk about Portugal today. We are going to discuss Portugal in general, and then we're going to dive into several of our Max trips. We're going to talk about the Camino Portugués, the Porto and Douro Valley, Algarve, the Sintra to Cascais trip, and then end with the Rota Vincentina trip, which I probably butchered that pronunciation, Alice, but you can correct me later if I'm wrong. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. We have questions available at the end. So there's a chat function. If you're in Zoom, feel free to post your questions throughout the webinar, and then we'll pick out the questions that are most asked or most relevant, and we'll answer those at the end, and they will be answered by our panelists. And our panelists today are myself. I'm the sales director in North America at Max Adventure. We have Alice from Visit Portugal. She's the product manager there. Thank you, Alice, for joining all the way from beautiful Portugal. We have Ruben, our senior product manager at Max Adventure, responsible for building a lot of our trips. And we have Caroline from our North America office, who's our senior adventure sales specialist and is a specialist in Portugal as well. So welcome, bienvenidos, and we're gonna get started here. So a little bit about the Max Way for those who are not familiar with Max Adventure. We've been established in 2003, so been around for 21 years now, and we are a pure specialist in self-guided, active hiking and biking vacations. That's all we do. That's our specialism, and we've done that for over 20 years now. You know, our routes are typically we have different trip variations, but the basics of all our trips are that we find the best routes across. We provide luggage transfers between hotels. We have a great app where you can navigate yourself along the trails. And then we are there in the background for 24/7 support. So you can go by yourself on one of our trips, you can go with a friend, you can go with a group of friends or family, but you're on your own on the trails, but we're there in the background to support you along the way. We have a massive Max community on Facebook, so if you're not a member, feel free to join. And yeah, we'll get started with the webinar here. I want to hand it over to Alice from Visit Portugal to tell us all about her beautiful country.
Thank you for joining us today, and I'm so excited to introduce you Portugal, which is an amazing destination for adventure holidays, either walking, cycling, and everything related to your adventure. For travelers coming from the UK, Portugal is just 2 to 3 hours from flights from the UK, for those who are hearing from the UK. For those coming from the US, it's one of the closest European destinations when you cross the ocean, with direct flights to the main airports from Lisbon, Porto, Faro, and even to the Azores. It's a very small country, so it has a large variety of landscape and products. We are very welcoming, and we have a mild climate all year round, which makes ideal for hiking or trekking and exploring, even during the winter, the spring, autumn or fall, if like you say in America. So Portugal is very small. From north to south, it's just around 850 kilometers, and apologies, because I know the kilometers, I know is around 400 miles from north to south. We have 7 regions, very diverse, and from mountains to beach to countryside. So we have a bit of everything in Portugal, including the beautiful islands of Madeira and the archipelago of the Azores, which are located roughly halfway between Europe and the US and North America, so making roughly from each side just 4-hour flights, either from the UK or from the US if you are on the west coast, on the east coast, apologies. In terms of landscapes, we have very diverse landscapes, from beautiful golden beaches to amazing lakes, plains in the Alentejo, and of course the forest mountain with forests and beautiful forests. We also have beautiful small islands. If in the next slide we'll see beautiful islands, and we even have snow. We have our highest mountain in Portugal is around 2,000 meters high, and the center of Portugal has also amazing, beautiful scattered villages that are beautiful to explore. In terms of traditions, Portugal is rich in traditions, especially in the crafts and handmade arts. So throughout the country, you'll find artisans creating beautiful ceramics, wooden textiles, and embroidery. These crafts have been passed throughout generations, making them a meaningful part of Portugal heritage. This is one of the most iconic tradition. So the students, the academic culture in cities like Coimbra, where university wear those traditional black capes. This costume dates back from centuries when University of Coimbra was formed. It's an example of Portugal's respect for history and tradition. In the next slide, you'll see the Portugal's folklore. We have all these traditions all around the country, the costumes. Each village or each town will have their own music, their own dance, their own costumes as well, so dress and culture. Again, this is an example of a carnival in the north of Portugal. We celebrate carnival intensely in Portugal, so it's a great time. So February is a great time to visit Portugal to experience this. In terms of architecture, Portugal is home to incredible architectural heritage, from palaces to medieval castles. And what's remarkable about Portugal is the way that modern architecture blends with heritage sites. On the next slide, this is a museum in Lisbon and a small village in the Alentejo. So we have both of these in Portugal. In terms of cuisine, Portugal is very rich, and Portuguese cuisine is an adventure in Portugal, from seafood to tender meat, cheese, chouriços, olive oil. So these are just a small sample of what's available in Portugal. In Porto, you'll find the famous francesinha, which is a hearty sandwich with a unique sauce on top. And of course, on the next slide, you'll see our amazing pastries and cheese, the famous pastéis de nata, which goes very well with an espresso, a coffee. Don't forget, if you like the cinnamon, put a cinnamon on top to have your pastel de nata. In terms, we are very welcoming people, and that's one of Portugal's biggest charms is its people, and we are known for our hospitality. And the Portuguese are warm and friendly and welcoming to visitors. In terms of climate, Portugal has a mild climate all year round, with average temperature at 25 degrees Celsius in the summer and 16 in the winter. So it's great for exploring and hiking, walking in the countryside or the cities. All year round, even in the, like I said earlier, in spring or autumn or fall, and even in the winter if you go to the southern areas of Portugal, like the Algarve or even Madeira or the Azores. And in terms of heritage, Portugal has 17 World UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which include the Loure Silva forests in a forest in Madeira Island and the Douro Valley in the north of Portugal. And this is a way where we really care about our heritage as well. In the next slide, you'll find what Portugal has to offer, from sun and sea to city breaks, wellness, religious tourism, walking and cycling, of course. So there's a vast amount of things that you can do if when traveling to Portugal. And in the next one, these are some inspiring, where you can find some inspiration for when you go to Portugal. We have these two websites with a lot of information about what you can find in Portugal for wine tourism and trails, so walking and cycling. Now we'll see a small video. So thank you. We'll invite you all to come to Portugal. Max Adventure has great itineraries for you. So we'll hear now. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll take some questions after.
Thank you so much, Alice, for joining. Appreciate you sharing all this information about beautiful Portugal. I can't wait to see a lot more of the country soon. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Ruben to talk about some of our Max Adventure trips in the country.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ruben. I am the product manager, senior product manager for Max Adventure, and today I will talk about the Camino Portugués, or the Portuguese Way, and the Douro region. Let's start by looking at the Camino Portugués, directly translated as the Portuguese Way, which is one of the most popular tours in Max Adventure. Before we get into details of this route, it is important to point out that this is part of the network of St. James Way that ran from many different parts of Europe to Santiago de Compostela. This way had a religious meaning originally, but nowadays it is a phenomenon that embraces all kinds of activities, such as cultural, sporting, or spiritual. The Portuguese Way, or the Camino Portugués, is the second most popular after the French equivalent, and is usually very well marked. And here in the picture, we can see the iconic milestone with the scallop shell, one of the most popular landmarks of this pilgrimage. And what will you find on this itinerary? We will find a landscape with villages connected by natural trails, and you will also have the chance to taste the gastronomy of Portugal and its different regions. You can also explore cities such as Lisbon, Coimbra, and Porto, all with UNESCO World Heritage sites. And doing this itinerary allows you to discover many hidden gems and samples of the Portuguese architecture. In this image, we can see the characteristic Portuguese azulejos, which is the painted thin glazed ceramic tile work. And you will enjoy each stage. A small backpack with the essential is the only thing you need. We will take care of carrying your luggage from hotel to hotel, as we said before. And talking of hotels, our accommodation is a combination of 3 or 4-star hotels, boutique hotels, and family-run hotels with a nice pilgrim atmosphere. And here we have a good overview of this pilgrimage in Portugal. We can see that the traditional route, marked in brown, starts in the city of Lisbon and goes north to the city of Porto. On the way, we can see cities like Santarém, Tomar, Coimbra, or Águeda. From Porto, this way continues towards Santiago de Compostela in Spain, through the interior of Portugal. But in the city of Porto, another route begins. That's the Portuguese coastal route, marked in blue on the left. And getting to these starting points in Portugal, Lisbon or Porto, is very easy. Both airports have excellent flight connections. And when to go? Our recommendation is to take this journey between March to October. However, July and August can be extremely busy and very hot. At Max Adventure, we offer different ways to do this route, with options ranging from 7 to 33 days, and the daily distance vary between 20 kilometers for walkers and 40 kilometers for cyclists. As we can see, in both cases, we are talking about average distances. Now that we know a little about the Portuguese way, let's take a closer look at our offer in the traditional way. In 33 days, you can do the full way from Lisbon to Santiago de Compostela, but you don't have a month for doing this walking holiday. You can do in 2 weeks the tour between Porto and Santiago, and in this way you can discover 2 different countries. And then we have 3 options with 8 days. In 1 week, you can do the Portuguese way from Porto to Tui, the first village in Galicia, in Spain. Or you can do the last kilometers of the Portuguese way from Tui to Santiago. And this option runs entirely in Galicia. And finally, if you are a cyclist enthusiast, you can cycle from Porto to Santiago in 8 days, where you can choose to complete this distance with a mountain bike or an electric bike. And what about the terrain? It's varied with regular ascents and descents. Sometimes they are moderate. We recommend this tour for a fit person, and if not, a little training makes this trail an exciting challenge. And here we can see other images of this Camino. With this traditional route, we can discover the city of Lisbon, and we can, of course, try the natas, or pastéis de Belém, very popular in the Portuguese gastronomy. And we will find also a rich heritage of cathedrals, castles, and historic centers along the way. The vibrant city of Porto is a highlight of this tour on the banks of the Douro River. And in the north of Portugal, you will find small villages with traditional stone houses, and you will walk in the nature across forests and following rural tracks. And now we will have a look at the coastal version, which starts in Porto. As we can see in the map, we find some fishing villages on the way to Santiago, like Viana do Castelo or Caminha. In this city, you can do a 2-week walking holiday in 2 countries, again combining Portugal and Santiago. But if you have just 1 week, you can do the section from Porto in Aguarda to Aguarda in Portugal, or you can do the last kilometers of the Camino starting in Aguarda, already in Galicia, and ending in Santiago de Compostela. If you do this tour, you need just 10 days or 9 nights. And again, as in the previous alternative, you can also cycle the full coastal route from Porto in 9 days. And again, you can choose between the mountain bike and the e-bike. The grading is similar to the traditional way, but in this way, we have wide, easy coastal sections, especially in the Portuguese section. And here again, some images of this coastal version. You will start in Porto. Here we can see a traditional tram in the city. And after Porto, you will follow the impressive Atlantic coastline on easy walks, and you will also walk on sand and discover impressive beaches. There are also outstanding viewpoints. In the bottom left, the image shows the one from Santa Lucia in Viana do Castelo. And you can explore traditional architecture, which is ever present on every stage. And of course, in this coastal version, it is highly recommended to try the delicious seafood. We will find several fishing villages on the way, not only in Portugal, also in Galicia and Spain. And after having presented the different Portuguese ways, let's finish this section with an interesting video about the coastal way.
Well, there's been a lot of time on my feet. There's a couple different seeds for me that draw an interest to a Camino. And one is the history of it. And
Bon Camino.
Another one is the community that you hear about beforehand. And the third thing is, I just love being outside. For me, on the Camino Trail and other things that I do solo, it gets you away from that daily life that can be busy, and you have that solo time. It gives me more of a chance to think. Coming all the way up from Porto in Portugal, along the way there's just been a tremendous variation of terrain. We had beautiful shorelines along the Atlantic Ocean, and then there's times when you go through forests of eucalyptus trees and ferns and everything. So, you just get a whole different experience. You just have variation even within one day. That's just one of the beauties of a trip like this, where you have the natural elements of the ocean and the woods, but then yet you come into the cities and towns and you get to experience that too. You get to Santiago and there's this square there with this beautiful cathedral right in front of you. And to take that time to look around and just seeing how different people react. Whatever it meant to them, you can see the joy, you can see the tears, you can see the laughter, and maybe some relief. The reward for many people is finishing. The reward for me is each day.
Well, I was really impressed by this video because I'm from Santiago de Compostela and I could see my town in the video. This is a nice video. Now we will jump into another destination, not far away from Porto. Actually, it's a combination between Porto and the Douro Valley. This is a perfect combination of a vibrant city with the picturesque landscape of the Douro region. In both cases, we are talking about World Heritage Sites by the UNESCO. The world-famous port wine, the River Douro, and the landscape of terraces are the protagonists of this destination. And here we can see some images of this destination. As we mentioned, Porto is the city of reference, where the Douro River flows into the Atlantic Ocean. And when we leave the city, we enter in the heart of the Douro region, and we see here these impressive landscapes dominated by the vineyards that fall towards the river. In the top right, we see a perfect example of the panoramic paths surrounded by vineyards. And along the river, we will discover beautiful landscapes such as this beautiful peninsula full of vineyards. And in places like this, we will have the opportunity to taste exquisite wines of the region and discover the history of each place. And as for accommodation, at the end of each day, we will offer specially selected hotels for you. and you can even stay overnight in exclusive hotels like this one. And let's have a deeper look at our walking and cycling offer in this area. We have 3 programs to offer you. The Porto the Douro Valley program allows you to get to know in 1 week both the city of Porto and the heart of the Douro, with moderate stages through the golden rolling hills of the Douro Valley. But we have also the Douro Valley in style. With this tour, you can have a glimpse of both destinations, but with shorter stages and superior accommodations, and with several gastronomical experiences. And finally, for cyclotourism lovers, you can get to discover this destination with moderate difficulty, staying in wineries and boutique hotels. And in this case, you can choose between the road bike, the hybrid bike, or the e-bike. Let us now take a closer look at one of the programs, the Porto the Douro Valley Tour. You will start and finish in the city of Porto, with excellent flight connections. The tour has a length of 8 days and 7 nights in moderate stages. You have from 8 to 15 kilometers, and you will walk a total of 51 kilometers or 32 miles. And you will do it from hotel to hotel. And during the stages, we take care of your luggage. The hotels provided are comfortable 3- and 4-star hotels and family-run hotels located in places like Pinhão and other small places like Casal de Loibos. This is a slow adventure where you will have the chance to complete the stages from 3 to 5 or 6 hours, making interesting stops at scenery points. And when you reach your hotel, you can relax, discover the village and heritage or the world of the wine. This and all the tours are available throughout the year, avoiding the months of July and August when the temperatures are too high. And one of the showpieces of this tour is the river cruise that takes you back to Porto, traveling among vineyards along the Douro River and tasting a lunch on board. But you will also travel by train in one of the most impressive journeys of Portugal. On the right, we can see the aforementioned Pinhão, one of the highlights of this region on the banks of the Douro River. And finally, doing this tour is also discovering the local gastronomy. You will have the chance to try a variety of local products. And if you need any more convincing about this destination, I invite you to watch this video from one of our ambassadors, the Hebridean Baker. Let's play the video.
I'm the Hebridean Baker. Join me on my max adventure hike through the Douro Valley of Portugal. First, I had a few hours in the beautiful city of Porto and visited the cathedral, Palácio de Bolsa and Ponte Luís I bridge over to Gaia before a very important search for the best, and I think I found it. It was time to head to the station for my train to Pinhão and the start of my hike through the stunning Douro Valley. Day 1 began walking alongside the Pinhão River. This 11-kilometer walk through stunning vistas, vineyards and orchards alongside easily accessible paths even takes in the beautiful towns like Persende. For my first night, I'm staying in a vineyard in Vilarinho, and I can't wait to share more of my max adventure through Portugal.
So that's the video. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Ruben. Appreciate all your knowledge, and we're so happy to have you on our Max team to provide us with so much local knowledge that you built up throughout your career. And yeah, exciting to see so much about Portugal. I'm going to hand it over to Caroline. Caroline, if you want to grab control of the screen, and then we can hear about 3 other Max trips that you'll tell us about before we go to our Q&A. Just a reminder, if you have questions, put them in the chat, and we'll have some time at the end to address those.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Caroline. I'm one of the sales specialists here at Max, and I specialize in Portugal. I've been lucky enough to tour again. It's one of my favorite places, so love talking about that. I'm going to discuss 3 of our trips. Start with our Algarve Coastal Trails trip. So this trip is along Portugal's southernmost region and goes along this beautiful stretch of coastline that you can see down here. It's fairly easy to get to. You can fly into Faro. There's a couple direct flights, but most of them you can connect through some larger European cities. We have 3 different trips in the Algarve region, 1 hiking and 2 biking. So they vary about from 5 days. The hiking trip for the Americans, it's about 8 to 11 miles per day. So it's still a good challenge, not incredibly difficult. And you get to see this really beautiful, dramatic coastline with cliffs while staying in some really beautiful towns as well. One of the big highlights of this trip is also the food along the Algarve region. Lots of incredible seafood at this area, really, really fresh. You get to stay in really nice small fishing villages. So it's a really authentic feel of visiting Portugal. And you get to walk through more secluded areas that aren't super busy and touristy, which is always a positive. A little bit off the beaten path of Portugal. It's like I said, it's not too difficult, 8 to 11 miles per day. So, you know, you and your day, it's a really great challenge. And I would also recommend this spring and winter. The first time I went to this region was in February, actually. So this one is classed as one of our, which means you're walking about no more than 10 miles per day. So it gives you that opportunity to explore the towns you're staying in and really get to immerse yourself in the culture without feeling like you need to get from point A to point B as quickly as you can. Also, this product for cycling in Portugal is really great and beautiful. Let me go back one. You actually, for our biking trip, you start at the Spanish border and you bike all the way west to the southern tip of Portugal. So like literally on the edge of Europe, which is a really beautiful place to be. It's a very dramatic landscape. The biking in general isn't incredibly difficult. You're doing about 20 to 40 miles per day. So it could take you anywhere from 3 to 8 hours. It's more leisurely and you have the time to explore along the way. There are also thousands of bird species just in this area that you will be able to see along the bike route. So wildlife is an interest to you. I'd highly recommend this trip. You also kind of get to sit in between the cities of Lagos and Faro. So if you want to spend more time in a city on either end, those are great options. I'll move on next to our Sintra and Cascais. Some highlights for this trip are definitely this is Peña Palace, which is a Moorish castle from the 19th century, to the itinerary to just explore the palaces and the monuments, which is really great. So it's built and you have the time to explore the area. Sintra is a really short ride from Lisbon, so you can easily add days in Lisbon. It's one of my favorite cities in the world, so I highly recommend doing that. I can come back to the video, but for now I'll just keep talking about the trip for Sintra and Cascais. I would in this one if you kind of want to spend a little bit more time in the city, but then also experience beautiful trails in nature. It's a really interesting way to get from one city to another, to walk through these like old country roads, beaches, and dirt paths. The distances for this trip range from about 6 to 11 miles a day, so not incredibly difficult, but will still give you a good challenge each day that you're walking. There's moderate to mild elevation gain and loss, so while it is a good challenge while you're hiking, again, you're not hiking up a mountain the whole day, so it's really enjoyable and you have time to see the beaches and relax. You end up in Cascais at the end, which is this really beautiful cliffside surfing village. I spent an entire day there and would have spent longer. It's really nice if you want to spend an extra day there. I would definitely suggest that. And then we'll move on to the Rota Vicentina. That is a network of trails along Portugal's southern region. The entire route is 280 miles. At Max, we offer two different versions of the Rota Vicentina. That's the wild Algarve region, which is the more southern region, and then the Fisherman's Trail. It goes through small fishing villages, and this area is actually only accessible by bike and car. Bike and walking. There's no cars, so it's really unique and kind of a special place to be because it takes a little bit of work to get there, but it makes it really, really quiet and pristine and beautiful. The food is definitely a big highlight on this trip. You are walking through these really authentic Portuguese fishing villages, and it's really fresh fish and seafood along the way. That's kind of the feedback I've heard the most is that the food in the villages were the most incredible that they had seen. So we have 4 different routes total. So the best of the Rota Vicentina, that is our longest one, 12 days. It does the largest set stretch of the Rota Vicentina. It's the 100-mile stretch there that you walk on. And then, as I mentioned, we have the 2 shorter sections, which are the Fisherman's Trail and the Wild Algarve. Then we also have a bike trip as well that is more moderate, goes along some beach and coastal routes, and you get to bike along the Atlantic Ocean, which is really nice. Great, yeah, so here's some images of the Rota Vicentina. Most of the paths are along the beach, so you will be coastal most of the time, which is really nice. It's a good challenge for some beach and sand walking, but also a great mix of different types of terrain. And then here's the route for the bike trip. It's not incredibly difficult, about, again, 20 to 40 miles a day, and you get to go right along the coast, and it's a much more relaxed, which is nice to stop and enjoy the beaches and the beautiful scenery. This trip is available year round, which is nice, and it's a great choice to go in the winter, escape the cold and have some time down by the coast biking. Those are the main highlights of the 3 trips I wanted to discuss. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll hand it back to Jasper.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for all your contributions. I would like to go to the Q&A part of our session. I would like to start with a question for Ruben. Ruben, what are the bed and breakfasts like along the Camino Portugués? What kind of accommodations are you going to stay in? What's the quality of them?
Well, they are family run, and they have always this pilgrim atmosphere, and this kind of accommodations. We are always in touch with the owners, with the hoteliers, because we know that the breakfast is very important for our customers, especially if you will achieve 20 or 25K in one day. So they are small accommodations with private bathroom, of course, and with a nice pilgrim atmosphere, and especially with good breakfast. And sometimes, if they have restaurant, the dinner will be based on local products.
Perfect. Thank you, Ruben. Alice, this one is for you. When is the best time to visit the Azores for weather, flowers, and whale watching? And when there's not too many tourists as well.
I would say from April to June. The summer is also good, but it tends to be crowded. There's more crowds, so July and August tends to be, there's more people. But May is a good time for the whales, for example. So it's a great time where the whales are passing by on their route to the south. So I would say from April to June, and then after the summer from September to November, maybe.
Perfect. Thank you, Alice. Shirley had a question about where does she start by booking her first Max trip, and if she needs to start booking airfare first, or how does she engage your help? So we always recommend to venture before you buy airfare. A lot of the routes, as you can see, are very rural, very small, which means there's very limited accommodation sometimes. And to contact us first, and see if the trip is available. And once we have confirmed your trip, to buy airfare. But I have a slide on the next slide with really get in touch with one of our sales specialists to kind of talk about the process. But yeah, we always recommend just contacting us first, discussing your dates, and then see if they're available, and then look at airfare. But we're happy to help you guide along with the planning process. Ruben, what's the least crowded time to do a walk in Portugal?
Well, we have to say that Portugal is a very popular destination right now. So we sell and we promote walking tours. That's why I will avoid July and August. It could be the time of the year where you can find some crowd. So I will recommend to do before the summer and after the summer.
Perfect. Thanks, Ruben. Let me see what other questions we had. If you do this was also for you, Ruben. If you do the Porto de Santiago walk, is there an easy way for transport back to Porto? So basically, how do you get back to Porto from Santiago for a flight home?
Yes, totally. There is a bus that takes 2 hours and a half from Santiago to Porto, or to the airport Sá Carneiro, the airport of Porto. That means you can travel directly from Santiago de Compostela to the airport to get your flight back. And it's about 3 hours. But we need to bear in mind that in Portugal they have another time. They are the same time zone as in the UK. And apart from the bus, they can book with us a private transfer from Santiago de Compostela to the airport or to Porto if they want to book extra nights. And it's about 1 hour and a half.
Perfect. Thank you, Ruben. Lots of options, it sounds like. Great. Caroline, this one's for you. If there's a problem with a bike, a flat tire, or another issue, like how do we support you when you're on?
Yeah, so we do work with a local partner in Portugal for our bike trips who are very knowledgeable on the bikes and the trails. So should anything happen and you need assistance, you can give us a call. We can reach out to them. We also give you their contact information directly, and they are in the area. They do provide you with a repair kit. So, if you're savvy with bikes, you can, use what they give you to fix that. But of course, if you need support, we're always just a call away. And then we can get in touch with local partners who can come and help out as well.
Thanks, Caroline. This one's for you as well. Like, how far in advance should I book my trip? I want to make sure I have the nicest hotels and the nicest place to stay. Yeah, sorry, you can hear the question. How far in advance should you book your trip to Portugal?
So yeah, Portugal can get quite popular, especially during springtime.
At least 3 to 4 months in advance, just so we can ensure that there is availability and we can get you booked in the best accommodations that we have available.
Perfect. Thanks, Caroline. Somebody's asking about picking a date, and will it be the same people that start on that date? Will I meet up every night in the hotel and the inns? And yeah, that depends. Like, so you are doing the tour by yourself or with the group you chose to travel with. There might be other people that do a similar route, but they don't necessarily have the exact same accommodations or stay in the exact same places in each town. So you might get to see some of the same people along the route, but there's not like we put a group of people together to walk with. You're really walking with the people you decide to and start the trip with. But yeah, if somebody has booked the exact same route, then you might see them at some various hotels along the way, and build a little bit of camaraderie, especially on the Caminos. Ruben, are 4-star accommodations available on the Camino between Tupi and Santiago? Are there 4-star hotels available, or are you
Sorry,
staying more in
between?
Tupi and Santiago?
Well, not in all places. Yeah. For example, in big cities like Pontevedra or the end Santiago, or even in Tui, yeah, we have these options. But in the places in between, we have 3-star hotels, but we have also wonderful hotels. They are boutique hotels. They don't have 4-star, 3 stars, but they are like a specific category, you know, by the in Galicia, in Spain, and they don't have 4 stars, but they have the quality of the 4-star hotel. But we have also paradors, the parador hotels in this route. For example, in Tui, we have a parador. In Pontevedra, we have another parador. And in Santiago, we have the impressive 5-star parador hotel right in front of the cathedral.
Perfect, thank you. And related to the Camino Coastal Way from Porto, how much walking is on boardwalks opposed to other paths? Like, is there a lot of boardwalk walking, or is it most of it, or?
In the coastal version, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we are talking about cities like Porto and Santiago de Compostela and other urban destinations. In these places, yeah, I'm sorry to say that we need to walk through pavement to reach the hotels. But in between, yeah, we have the landscape. Yeah, we have many interesting sections. Yeah, with paths along the coast. Sometimes we are using also rural tracks. So except the big cities like Porto, Santiago de Compostela, or Vigo, in the case of Galicia, we will follow a natural landscape.
Got it. Thanks, Ruben. To know, is it better to hike in the spring or the fall?
Well, that's a very, very good question. Yeah. Well, I think it will be good to walk in the spring and in the fall to have the two opinions. Well, it depends on the landscape that you would like to experience. You know, the fall is fantastic time, yeah, to explore not only the landscape but also the gastronomy, because we have another type of gastronomy. If you want to do it in the springtime, yeah, you will find like a lush landscape, yeah, with evergreen landscape. So it depending on your taste, but I think both options are the best options.
Perfect. Thanks, Ruben. Caroline, another cycling question. Is it possible to use clip-on shoes when you use one of our road bikes or e-bikes?
Yeah, definitely. If you would like to bring your own shoes or even your own pedals, just let us know. If you would like specific pedals, just reach out to your sales specialist when you're booking, and we can get that all sorted for you.
Perfect. So many questions came in. Thank you, everybody. I'll do one more question and then we'll have to wrap it up, unfortunately, for today, but we'll try to answer all your questions as well by typing an answer to you in the coming minutes. Ruben, hiking the coastal cliffs, is it dangerous? Can a hiker avoid steep trails to the left or the right, or and not to get too close to the edge? What does that look like, that terrain?
Yeah, I didn't hear. Can you repeat, please?
Sure, on the coastal cliffs. So when you go on cliffs on the coastal way, is it dangerous? Are you getting very close to the edge, or is there enough room to go a little bit more inland to hike?
Okay, we are talking about the coastal way in North Portugal, and we don't have like cliffs like the ones in the Rota Vincentina or in the Algarve. It is a very flat landscape. You will always walk by the seaside, accompanied by the Ocean Atlantic. You don't have really big cliffs. It's very easy to walk.
Perfect. Thanks, Ruben. Well, again, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Ruben, Alice, and Caroline, for all your time. If you have any more questions, please type them in the chat, and we will get in touch by typing you an answer there. Or you can contact us at hello@maxadventure.com, and one of our team members will get in touch with you, or give us a call either in the UK or North America. Thank you so much for joining, and hope you learned a lot about Portugal. And have a great rest of your day. Thank you.